What's up, guys? Welcome back. So I just got back from my dealer a couple days ago trying to order a ZL1 1LE. I watched a live stream on another channel about a week ago or so, and sorry, I've got some construction going on outside, so if you hear some erratic weird noises, that's all it is. Turns out after watching this live stream, it is apparent that the ZL1 1LE is going to be a very, very hard car to get. Going into 2023, yeah, I'm gonna say especially 2024. Let's hope that things turn around as far as the carbon fiber world goes. In all seriousness, I did learn on this live stream that it's probably gonna be about a year wait. And I agree. I see no reason to doubt that at all. It sounds about right as far as the car world goes, and you know, given Chevrolet's past track record, you know, in the recent, I don't know, year or two, if you're gonna get an order in, you better get it in now. And I'm having trouble. It seems dealers are getting allocations, but nobody wants to place an order for a ZL1 1LE. If you're a dealer near Iowa and you want to do so, hit me up. In every video I leave a link that says email me, hit me up. We'll definitely make an order. Everybody kind of just operates under the assumption of, you know, what's in the past is pretty much dead. And I don't think that's the case here, because I have done some research on this. And today I want to do like a comparison video of, you know, like the Camaro Z28, which I think is a way overslept on car, as far as all the qualities, capabilities. You know, some might be better, some might be worse. It's up to you. It's kind of interpretive at this point. But some of the qualities versus the ZL1 1LE, 6th gen ZL1 1LE. They only made this car for 2 years, which was 2014, 2015. And from what I understand, this car is pretty rare. It looks like there's like 1,801 units. 1801. All right, I'll put a chart up here. You can see, I thought it only came in white. Turns out it didn't. It came in black, I think red. And I think at some point in time, I believe that I've seen a charcoal one. If you're going to get this model, I don't know how to stress this enough. Swing for the air conditioning. I mean, honest to God, it's not gonna add a whole lot of weight. It's not gonna bog this car down. It's not gonna rob a whole bunch of horsepower. It's only gonna help you on resale. And, you know, if you're not worried about resale, which, you know, whatever, at least worry about the comfort during your ownership of the vehicle, because that's what's really gonna be important here. Now, the chassis, which this whole thing is based off of, and I did a video, man, maybe like a year ago. It was when I first started my channel and I was first learning how to edit and stuff. I did a video on the Alpha chassis, and that is what the 6th generation Camaro is sitting on now. And now the 5th generation Camaro, their chassis, you know, which was dubbed the Zeta chassis. So the Zeta chassis, turns out it's like 220, 230, 200, you know, 200 and some pounds heavier, but as a trade-off, you're going from 110 to 112 inch wheelbase. So the 112 inch wheelbase means you're gonna have a slower reaction time around corners. You know, just the Alpha is gonna do a little bit better around corner. It's marginal. It is a little bit softer, so the Alpha is a little bit stiffer. The high strength steel versus ultra high strength steel, you know, placement and quantity is a big factor as far as how the Alpha chassis is going to be just a little bit sharper and a little bit lighter as far as versus the Zeta chassis goes. If you're looking for stability at highway speeds, the longer wheelbase is the way to go. I think the trade-off kind of works in the 5th gen Camaro chassis anyhow. Turns out the 5th gen chassis is the longest wheelbase ever out of any Camaro ever made. So if you're going to be looking for something high speed runs, might be it. I'm gonna work from the ground up, and next thing I'm gonna talk about is the brakes. The brakes. I swear, I do not understand why the ZL1 does not have carbon ceramic brakes like the Z28 does. If you look them up, they're really not that expensive. I mean, if you look at a Lamborghini or Ferrari or whatever, you're talking like $5-10 grand per corner. That's not the case here. I think you can get these things for like $1,200-1,300 a corner. The Brembos on my 1LE are $900. I would gladly pay the $300-400 more and and get a carbon ceramic with no dust, better bite, longevity. The list goes on and on as far as the pros, as far as carbon ceramic brakes. Way worth it in my opinion. And I'll put the brake diameter sizes up here. Turns out that the brake diameter sizes, especially in the rear, I think the front's the same, but the rear is bigger. It's pretty much the same rotor in all four corners. 15.5 in the front versus 15.3 in the rear. The brake department, I'm giving the advantage to the Z28. The tires, you know, you hear everybody talk about the squared stance. You know, 305s in all four corners, 305s in all four corners. I think it's great, but I recently just learned that the rims for the front and the rear are not the same. Turns out there's like just like little under a half inch difference in the width of the wheel, and that tells me that the back spacing of the offset is going to be different. So therefore you cannot just swap the front to the rear. That kind of sucks because no matter what, across both platforms, that cuts your tire life in half. You're gonna start cupping. If you have any problems with like chopping or whatever, you're not able to rotate them and to, you know, evenly distribute and wear and try to get some of that chopping back out. If your tires got out of balance or the shocks got weak and the tires started skipping across the pavement and they started chopping, you used to be able to remedy the problem and move the fronts to the backs and they would kind of wear out and smooth off. You can't do that now, and that sucks because tires now more than ever, they've hit mainstream and they're a big commodity and people just love tires. So therefore, the more compounds that they make and the more technology they put in these things, the higher the price gets on them. And you know, they're 19-inch. I don't know what it is about a production car. As soon as it hits the track or it's track focused, it goes to a 19-inch wheel. I don't understand. Now the ZL1 1LE, it's got a 315 in the rear, 305 in the front. I wish they would have stayed with the square stance, but you know, such is life. Could have been worse, I guess. As far as I'm concerned, there's really not a win in either category, simply because you just mount the tires on, you're kind of stuck with what you got until the tires wore out. The shock department, and this is what kind of got me off guard, was turns out it's not the same shock, but it is the Multimatic, the DSSV. So you got the spool valve shocks in the 5th gen and the 6th gen. So I mean, there's a lot of design language and parts that carry over, just updated into the 6th gen ZL1 1LE. Now I'm sure they're shimmed differently, and you know, for different compression rates and whatever, but as far as everyone thinking that, you know, you gotta have these Multimatic shocks, the Z28's got them, man. So big surprise, and I kind of give that a win to the Z28. The rear diff, and this is where the 6th gen ZL1 1LE is going to take the cake and run with it, because the ELSD and these 6th gen Camaros is absolutely ridiculous. They are crazy good. It is a big factor of your corner entry and exit speed. As far as maintaining traction, it's dummy proof. You don't have to be like a pro level driver anymore to own one of these vehicles. You can just hop in the seat, leave all the nannies on, maybe turn it to race, dial it into whatever you want. The car's gonna pretty much do a lot of the work. There are so many modules and so many nanny systems going on in that car. I mean, it is very smart. It knows exactly what's happening, when it's happening. I wouldn't even count the reaction times down to per second, even though you have to technically. The traction control, the ESC, all those systems, it's crazy. It's insane, and if you've never driven one, I highly recommend that you do it. The rear diff in the Z28, I believe is a mechanical. Still not bad. Better than nothing. It's not got the electronic locking diff like the ZL1 1LE does. From my understanding, it's got a pretty gnarly mechanical locking differential in it. So don't count the Z28 out just yet. I've heard a lot of good things about the exit speeds that you can get coming out of a corner in this car. Also, the rear diff final drive in the Z28 is a 391-1. Final drive in the ZL1 1LE is a 373. As you know, the higher the number, the lower the punch you're gonna get. So when, depending on how the transmission's geared, the rear end's gonna give you a harder punch in the 391. So I'm kind of giving it to the Z28 in this one. Depends on what you want. Anyone else ready to be shocked? It's a win in my book, solely because it's manual only. For the Z28, because it's got the same, and it's the same transmission that came in Camaro LT1, Camaro SS, Camaro ZL1, and the ZL1 1LE. Now the ratios, they've gutted it and took the gear ratios are different. I couldn't find anything down simply because everybody was touting about the 10-speed, getting shut up about the 10-speed, 10-speed, 10-speed. I hopped on the Camaro 6 forum. Thankfully, someone did a good job of putting the ratios together. I'll put a picture of it up here. It's different across the board for the SS, the ZL1, and the ZL1 1LE. So they've got different ratios. It's minimal changes, but it could make a huge difference. It's pretty cool in my opinion that they both have the TR6060 with the 6-speed manual. Now getting to the part where it's really different. Everybody knows the LT4 has got 650 power torque. The big thing here is the root style blower, I think, is going to need upgraded. Eventually, some point in time, there's a lot of people taking this blower up to higher numbers. The more stress and the more boost you run through that blower, the bigger the wrist, the more the heat. It's just the complexity compounds as well as the benefit. So I mean, that root style blower, I believe, the LT4 in my opinion needs a twin screw, period, hands down. So this is going to be interpretive as far as what you want and what you're looking for. Now the LT4 does have all forged internals, and it can handle 4-digit horsepower pretty reliably from what I hear. The LT4 was actually, until 2019, that was the most powerful power plant that GM had ever made. The LT4 is a bad mofo, and there is no denying it. It's going to need less work to reach higher potentials in my opinion, but I kind of have to give it to the LS7 because the LS7, it's dry sump, so you know there's going to be no starvation of oil in the corners. The thing comes, forged crank, titanium rods. The weak point in the LS7 is going to be the pistons. You drop in some forged pistons, man, that thing is good to go. You're going to go from 378 cubic inches to 427. There's just, I wholeheartedly believe there is just no replacement for displacement, period. You just can't replace it. The heads on these cars it's pretty much a race head. I mean, you don't, except for the exhaust, the exhaust valve, the guide drop problem. Still, there's plenty of shops that can remedy this, fix this. You throw a heads cam package on this thing is a beast. This is the same motor that's ran in the Hennessy Venom GT. I think that thing's like 11 or 1200 horsepower. One of 26, that thing is a monster. Twin turbo, that you can crank up the power on these things and they flow and they're reliable. Just a couple minor modifications, man, you're deep into the 4-digit horsepower ratings quick. I mean, there has been so many build variations, all the kinks and the problems of this thing, so it's already been worked out. If there's a problem with it, it's already been seen and somebody's got a solution for it. So there's something to be said for that as well. This platform's only like 2 years behind the ZL1. Take it for what it's worth. You kind of got to go off of comfort, and that's a good point as far as, you got Recaro seats in both, but you really just need to go sit in it, spend a little time in the cabin, see which one's the best fit for you. The Z28 is not the same as a regular 5th gen Camaro. I'll play the short here for you.
What?
gonna buy that car, don't we all wish we were richer? But my money's tied up in the ZL1. The opportunity passed, someone jumped on the deal. But yeah, I had a little time to spend in that car, and it's not the same thing. There's Alcantara everywhere, just like the ZL1 1LE, on the shift knob, on the steering wheel. The seats are super comfortable. I wouldn't say the cabin's really that much bigger. It does feel a little bit roomier though. It's just up to you. You have to go spend some time, see which one's a better fit for you. Either way, you can't go wrong, because the Z28, it's not like a normal, typical 5th gen Camaro. It's kind of something different. I recently heard on another YouTube video is how it's described as, it's just something different. And that's perfect. That's perfect, because that's exactly what it is. It's something different, off to the side, in a league of its own, like all by itself out here. Here's the cool part, is the current marketplace, even in 2022, and I'm not trying to drive the price up, this car listed for $75,000 or thereabouts, whatever, by the time you added options and everything on there. But they had to mark these things down so deep, 10, 15 grand just to move them off the lot, that, the resale market is crazy on these things, because I'm seeing them everywhere for like mid 60s, low 70s. Some of them crept up a couple thousand over MSRP, but still, I think it's worth it. And this car is way underrated. If you're looking for like a highway monster to build, this might be the car to buy. I have seen, this car being sold for like 68 grand as opposed to like used ZL1 just a couple years newer for 83. Honestly, I'd rather take the $15,000-$20,000 difference, pocket it, and carry on with my build. You got one of 1801, and who knows how many they're gonna build of the ZL1 1LE. Way rare car. I don't know how long, and I don't know when, but eventually, I believe that this is a $100,000 car. That's where I'm gonna leave it, guys. If you're looking for a ZL1 1LE, you're kind of getting bummed out. All you're finding on the market is, you're not gonna get the canards, you're not gonna get the aero, you're not gonna get the big spoiler, you're not gonna get all the crazy stuff, the visual stuff, I know which everybody loves. But if you're looking for like a true badass street car, I think this might be a good option or a good avenue to explore. I hope you guys are having an awesome day. Don't forget to like the video, like it, subscribe on your way out. It's free. Doesn't hurt you, helps me. Until the next video, I will catch you guys later. Until then, take it easy, guys. We'll see ya.